Thank you, everybody, for being on this very important virtual press conference that we are having today. We are so excited to be here with all of you. I'm so pleased to be here today with Representative Robin Vining and our special guest, Academy Award-winning actor Halle Berry. Menopause and perimenopause are really not talked about often enough. We are going to change that today, and we hope in the future that women get better life-saving care from midlife and beyond. So one housekeeping detail before we begin, we are going to be taking written questions. If you have one, please put it in the question and answer section, which can be found at the bottom of our screen. We will address some questions at the end of the briefing. So I am honored to be one of the lead authors, along with Rep. Vining, of Senate Bill 356, Wisconsin's menopause education legislation. Women, thank goodness, are living longer. There are more of us in our 50s and beyond. Today, there are a record number of postmenopausal women, and more than 1 million American women experience menopause each year. 3 in 4 women who seek medical care for their symptoms are left untreated, according to the national nonprofit Let's Talk Menopause. 4 out of 5 OBGYN residents admit being ill-prepared to discuss this life stage with their patients. A 2023 study found that fewer than a third of OBGYNs took a menopause curriculum as part of their training programs. The bottom line, education and information about menopause and perimenopause has been neglected and too often ignored. Doctors are not adequately trained, patients are not adequately informed, and society in general kind of treats menopause as taboo. That must change. This bill would be the first step in changing that. Women in Wisconsin and their families will benefit from a coordinated educational effort. It will help women be better prepared for menopause and perimenopause. It will save lives and change countless health outcomes. To tell you more about the bill, I am pleased to introduce Representative Robin Vining, who will talk more in depth about this legislation.
Thank you, Senator Hesselbein. Well, I am excited to be here today to talk about this bill and to destigmatize menopause and perimenopause. Hi, everyone. I am State Representative Robin Vining, and I represent the people in perimenopause and menopause in Wauwatosa, Brookfield, and Elm Grove. I'm proud to co-author 2025 Senate Bill 356, the bipartisan perimenopause and menopause education bill. Wisconsin's health matters. Wisconsin women's health matters, and Wisconsin women deserve to be educated and prepared for perimenopause and menopause. Half the population for half their lives will go through perimenopause and menopause, and yet it's often under-talked about and understudied. This bill seeks to change that by requiring Wisconsin Department of Health Services to partner with healthcare providers, including obstetricians and gynecologists, community health centers, and hospitals, to educate women on the symptoms, processes, and issues surrounding perimenopause and menopause. It also requires that DHS create informational materials, both digital and physical forms, to be distributed or accessed by women who are determined by their healthcare provider to be experiencing or soon to be experiencing perimenopause and menopause. All of this matters because Wisconsin women deserve to know what's happening to their bodies. Wisconsin women deserve access to information that can help explain symptoms like increased anxiety and depression, brain fog, frozen shoulder, concerns about the increases in cholesterol and decreases in bone density, sleeplessness, night sweats, increased sensitivity and pain in joints, gut issues, loss of libido, hot flashes, and more. Many women say, "I don't feel like myself," and they deserve to know why that is and what they can do about it. Our bill seeks to educate Wisconsinites and help them reclaim their health. I want to thank my colleagues, Senator Diane Hesselbein, Senator Rachel Cabral-Guevara, and Representative Karen DeSanto for their leadership on this bill, and Halle Berry, who has been an advocate and a champion on this issue, for being with us today. I'll pass it back to Senator Hesselbein.
Thank you, Representative Vining. Very well said. Now it's my honor to introduce someone who truly needs no introduction, Academy Award-winning actor Halle Berry. She is the first and only Black woman to have won the Oscar for Best Actress. She's a producer, a director, a worldwide star, and an inspiration. She is also a remarkable, powerful, and effective advocate for the environment, for women, and for more research and education on menopause. We are extremely fortunate to have you be joining us today and share a little bit about her story and her support for this bill. Halle, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Senator. First, I want to say thank you to all the sponsors of this bill. What makes me most excited is this bill is bipartisan because this is not a political issue. I promise you it's not. It is a human rights issue. I just want to be clear about that. But thank you, Senator Hesselbein and Representative Vining, for your leadership in bringing this bill forward. I am in so support of SB 356, and that's why I'm here today. So I want to thank the press for being here, because you being here and talking about this is very much a part of the education that we need. So thank you. So you might ask, why am I here and why have I gone on this journey? The senator and the representative have given you some statistics, but I'm here to put some color to that from a real woman's point of view. I am here today standing up for myself through my story, but I know that by doing that, I'm standing up for millions of other women who have stories that are no different from mine, really. We all have had the same level of confusion and fear and aloneness, and we share that. So I'm here to give you some color. So at 54 years old, I woke up one morning. First of all, at 54, none of my doctors had ever talked to me about perimenopause or menopause. I was so ignorant that I thought whatever that thing was that I heard somebody talk about maybe 20 years ago was never going to happen to me. I thought I would skip it. That's how ignorant I was. So at 54, I woke up one morning and I have to say this, I was having an issue with my vagina. I felt pain down there like I had never felt before. It was excruciating. So the first thing I did, of course, I went to see my doctor, my OB, who had birthed both of my children. I knew him very well. And I said, Doc, I don't know what's happening down here, but what's wrong? I have never experienced this kind of pain. And he looked very quickly, he said, without hesitation, oh, I know exactly what this was. So of course there was some reassurance because at least he knew what it was. And I said, what? And he said, this is herpes, and probably one of the worst cases I've ever seen. And I said, herpes? What do you mean herpes? I mean, I had just started dating a new guy. I was 1 year into a wonderful new relationship. And he said, well, go have a talk with this guy because you have herpes. And he had known me 20 years. I had never had herpes. He goes, well, you have it now. So I go to my partner and I say, hey, so you have herpes? Would have been nice if you would have told me that. And he said, well, I don't have herpes. I said, well, clearly you do, because I have herpes and I didn't have it before I knew you. And he said, I don't have herpes. Nobody's ever told me I had herpes. And I said, well, hey, let me be the first to tell you, you have herpes and you've given it to me. So you can imagine with a new relationship, we are at each other. We don't know what's going on. I said, you have to go get a test and we're going to find out. And in 3 days, the results will come back and we'll know if we have herpes. The test comes back in 3 days. Neither one of us have herpes. So now we're both kind of stumped and we're thinking, well, we don't have herpes. Well, then what is this? So I say to my doctor, as he's telling me it's not herpes, I say, okay, doc, then what is it? This was a defining moment for me. This is my why. He looked at me and he said, I don't know. And I thought, how can you not know? This has been one of the worst things I've ever felt my body experience. And you don't know? He said, no, I really don't. And he really didn't. And it was no fault of his own. He didn't understand the menopausal body. There is the problem. Only 13% of doctors in this country understand the menopausal body. It's one chapter in medical school. Even though he's a gynecologist and should know all things about the vagina, he had no clue. He was stumped. That got me on my mission to self-advocate and figure out for myself what was wrong with me. What I found out was that it's called vaginal atrophy. It happens to women when they start losing their estrogen, when they enter into this midlife perimenopausal stage. Then I went to see another doctor because I started having a problem with my mouth. Very dry, very sensitive. My mouth just didn't feel like my mouth anymore. So I went to see my doctor, and he said to me after a 30-minute visit, "I'm sure I know what this is. Yeah, it's Sjogren's disease." He told me I had an autoimmune disease and he was about to put me on steroids for probably the rest of my life to deal with an autoimmune disease that I did not have. I left that doctor's office and I thought, I don't believe I have an autoimmune disease. So once again, I started researching and doing my own reconnaissance, and I found out dry mouth is also another symptom of perimenopause. Different orifices get dry. I realized what I had to do for myself was up my B7s with buckhorn oil, stop drinking red wine because there's tannins in it that make our mouth dry, and up my B12 vitamins. And sure enough, in 6 months' time, the problem went away. No Sjogren's. Thank God I didn't go down that path of Sjogren's and steroids, getting treated for something I didn't even have. Again, no fault of my doctors. He didn't know because most of the studies on Sjogren's disease have only happened in men in the first place. So he had no idea that this was a loss of my estrogen, the thing that makes women women, that was at the core of this problem I was having with my mouth. And thirdly, I started having problems with my eyes. So I go see my trusted eye doctor. And I tell him, "Doc, my eyes are blurry. I can't focus anymore. And they hurt at night. And I wake up and they're crusted shut." I said, what is going on with my eyes?" He looked at me and he said, "Ah, kind of know what it is, but I can't really say it." I said, what do you mean you can't really say it?" He said, I can't really say it to you, but I'm going to give you some eye drops that I want you to start using." And I said, wait, but what is wrong with my eyes, Doc?" And he said, "Okay, I'm going to say it, but you're going to kill me, but I think it's because of menopause." And I said, "Exactly. You, ding, 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 winner, winner, chicken dinner, it's menopause." But the thing was, he didn't want to say it to me. And I said, "Doc, why couldn't you just say that to me? You're my healthcare provider. You're my doctor." And he said, "Because my patients don't want to hear they're in menopause. It scares them. They think they're getting old, like they will punch me. They'll leave me. I'm worried about that. I don't want to lose my patients, but women don't want to be told they're in menopause." Well, why is that? Why are we so afraid of menopause? Because we have zero education around it. It's stigmatized. We're afraid because we're ignorant to what is happening to our bodies. That's why education is so important. And that's why I'm here. I have real life examples of how more education would have saved me almost 4 years of self-exploration and self-diagnoses. I would love to have gotten this information from my health care providers. I would love for my daughter, who's now 17, to sail in to her midlife. Just like already she's excited about becoming a mom and going through pregnancy, she has all the information she needs to know about that. I want her to feel as excited about her midlife years as she does becoming a new mom. Why? Because I know these years over 40 are some of the best years of a woman's life. And we deserve to live in good health, to have good information so that we can make good, solid decisions for our own health. And that is why I'm here. And a few statistics I just want to add that 1.3 million women transition into menopause each year. By the year 2030, 1.2 billion women around the world will be in menopause. And here's a big one. I know it's far away for me. It might be far away for you too. But in 2060, 90 million women around the world will be navigating menopause. And I think they need education, and doctors need to be retooled to take care of them in the best way possible. So thank you very much for allowing me to tell you my story. And thank you again to Senator Hesselbein and to Representative Vining for your leadership on this very, very, very important cause. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Halle Berry, for joining us and saying that. I'm so glad you talked about your journey and how it affected you. And Representative Vining, I'm so glad you talked about some of the issues and complications that happen with menopause. It made me remember 9 years ago, I was suffering from frozen shoulder, and I'm in Dane County, which Halle is like Madison is, the capital of Wisconsin. And my doctors didn't know what to do with me, so they referred me to a UW specialist from the Badger football team because they didn't know what to do with frozen shoulder. And so I was the first female he had seen in years, and I was able to get a cortisone shot so I could work with that. But he was like, "Did you play football when you were younger?" But like, "Did you do this?" And I was like, "No, I wasn't like in softball in high school." And I was like, "No." And I had no idea, even like years later, that it was one of the first ideas. It's like, oh, if you get frozen shoulder, it might be that you are going through menopause. I didn't know that for years. I just thought, well, this is a really strange thing that I got. I don't know what it has to do with. But I think if that's happening to Halle Berry with her doctors that she has, or in Wisconsin when I have nice health insurance, or to Representative Vining, we know we're not alone. And so I'm really grateful today that we can use our voices to speak up and kind of talk about this in a way that normalizes it. And as you said, so that other people don't have to go through trying to be the doctor at Google and trying to figure out what's going on, and that more people can be helping us through this process. So, wow, you can tell, Halle, you're so passionate about this issue and what a powerful impact you are having as you are being willing to talk to people in different states, and the powerful impact you are having. Thank you so much. Now we will return to go to some questions. If you have any questions in the chat that you would like to put there, we will.
We don't. We'll have
we don't?
questions. We don't have any questions in the chat.
All right. Well, wonderful. Well, once again, I just want to say on behalf of not just every woman in the state of Wisconsin, but in the United States, because I know you are telling this powerful personal story in other states, and we are so thrilled that you are sharing that with us. And we know it's hard to be vulnerable sometimes, but thank you for doing that, because together we are going to make sure that women have the resources they need in the future.
We do have a question, Diane. What's your sense of whether this will be a priority for legislative leadership?
Well, I'm hoping it will be. One of our co-sponsors of this on the Senate side is Senator Rachel Cabral-Cavero. She has been a good partner in this, and it's getting its hearing on Wednesday. So I'm hopeful that she will be able to talk to Republicans so that we can see this on the floor. As I said, this bill is really simple. It's asking the Department of Health Services to come up with information in a pamphlet and on the web about what menopause is, what people can do, so you don't have to go to these strange websites. You can actually go to the Department of Health Services, find out information there about what you might be going through. So I'm hopeful we're going to be able to get it done.
Just the point and ask a follow-up. Is there funding/cost associated?
No, I don't believe there's a fiscal in it. The department would just be taking that information and then working with the people and with providers to create those informational materials.
And that's it.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Halle Berry. Thank you for being who you are, for being a wonderful advocate for everybody all over the United States, and also for some amazing roles. Let's be honest, it is great to escape life once in a while. And so sometimes I tune into Monsters Ball and I'll watch like you being amazing. So I just want to say thank you for using the gifts that you have.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very
so
much.
Thank you.
Take care.